Live from Wellington, New Zealand, it's Malignant Bear, featuring me, JD Grospitz. Hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. Tonight, we are fulfilling a request quite a while in the making, because we want to be happy. We are going to finally, after about 18 months, restart and then eventually finish our playthrough of the visual novel Please Be Happy. This game made my Game of the Year list last year because I finished it in 2023. It came out in 2022, but I finished it in 2023, so it made sense it made the list then. And we got some requests to play through the full game on stream. I've said in the past that I feel conflicted about visual novels on stream, specifically longer form ones and dramatic ones like this. Short ones, silly ones, ones with tons of choices in them, for example, Monster Prom or Hatful Boyfriend. Totally fine to stream, because it's going to be different every time for everyone. Something like this, there's really only one or two routes through it, so watching a playthrough of a visual novel like this is potentially taking away a sale, and I've always felt bad about that, especially for indie devs. We are loosening that restriction for this, partly because it's a request, partly because Studio Élan, the devs behind it, have a new streamer incentive program. They have a bunch of dedicated streamers for their titles. We are not one of them, but I think that says that they are okay with that as a thing. And also it's Pride Month, so this is a Yuri visual novel. It's completely safe for work. There's nothing raunchy in this at all. So yeah, it's June, we have to celebrate that, and this game is going to take quite a few streams to get through. So this will be probably, well, maybe our only title celebrating Pride Month. Of course, we've played quite a few games with LGBTQ+ characters and themes and things. Always like to highlight one during the month of June, and this year is no exception. So again, this game is excellent. And I said during my review of it that part of the reason why I thought it was good, it has some excellent music you're hearing in the background right now, good artwork, good characters. The plot is good. You will see the twists coming long before some of the characters do, but it is not a bad thing because how the characters react to that and how it shapes them in the world around them and everything is the more interesting thing about it. I think too many writers get too focused in attempting to pull off a twist and instead miss that the big thing is character growth. That's what you want to see in a lot of mediums, a lot of stories, and I think this does that quite well. So, one more thing before we actually jump in and play. Full disclosure on this, I liked this game so much after playing it that I backed the Kickstarter for the physical release of it and the physical release of the soundtrack as well, which I now have on vinyl, so it's excellent. So, but again, that was after playing the game. Studio Élan does Kickstarters for a lot of their titles, and the money that they've made from making their own games, they have become a publisher as well. They publish quite a few other indie visual novels, so it seems to be working out quite well for them. Now then, let's do this. There's a lot of VO in this game. Started the stream a little bit late because I was trying to balance some of the audio. We'll see how that goes once we actually get in. There's no VO for the narrator, at least there didn't used to be, so we'll see how that goes, how taxing this is on my throat. That's the other reason we don't do visual novels too often. It is often just several hours of me straight reading, which isn't too terrible, but depending on what else I've been doing with my voice recently, might be. So we will see how that goes.
I wonder what Wellington will be like.
Fog settled over the forest, far from the villages and towns, and with it came silence. Birch trees shivered, pondering the weather, and dropped their leaves in fright. Streams bubbled, unseen by man, and babbled like the birds in the trees. In the middle of the forest was a grove, and in the middle of that grove was a log. It had been years since it had fallen, once one of the proudest trees around, and now in death was home to an abundance of life. If you're thinking, JD, this sounds familiar, it's because we did stream the opening hour of this, again, 18 months ago when it first came out. Just in the interest of continuity, we are starting completely fresh. I think they've made some slight alterations to some of the scenes, mostly in terms of spell check and art touch-ups and things, so the newer the better. Anyway, a line of frantic ants ran to and fro. Mushrooms, cloud-like and pillowy, sprouted across one side, like a footpath for fairies. Nearby, an old toad flapped contentedly in the mud. And inside the deep, damp hollow of the tree, something slept. A traveler strolled into the grove. Their steps were slow and tired, and they spotted the log with relief, like greeting an old friend. Weary from the day's journey, the traveler sat to take a rest. Whoosh. The scrambling of nails on rotten wood, shadow bolted from inside the log to the tall grass nearby. The traveler watched as the brush rustled, as a faint patch of fur appeared within. "Hello there, friend. Didn't mean to disturb you." They held their hand towards the grass, offering a piece of dried fish. At first, there was no reaction, and then... First, a snout appeared, quivering as it tested the air, and followed the rest of the fox, sleek and tawny. As she took several steps forward, her amber eyes were alight with mistrust, but also with wild, wild curiosity. The stranger sat unfazed, their offering still outstretched. They dared to meet the fox's eyes, and in that glance felt something kindred. As the fox closed her jaws around the gift, a bond was made. "Maybe we aren't so different, you and I." Traveler returned the next day, and the day after that. Each day they brought some treat for their new friend. Each day the fox's steps grew a little more trusting. One day, when the traveler arrived, the fox was sitting in the clearing, waiting patiently.
"Hello, my friend. Have you been waiting long?"
The fox peered up at the traveler. Her amber eyes were warm and trusting. She accepted her gift of meat, gnawing at it at the traveler's feet then and there. The traveler sat, imprinting into their mind the feeling of the wood beneath them, the clean air around them, and the tender bond of companionship.
"Where is your home, little fox? Is it here in this grove? Or do you come to see me too? This will be the last time, I'm afraid. Because I'll be going home tomorrow. Home is such a small place compared to the rest of the world. Yet, it's some place I can't wait to return to. I wish I could bring you with me, little friend. I wish that you could see the world too. Your home is all around me though, isn't it? It's wherever the trees are, wherever the leaves fall. Little fox, perhaps it's you who's the more fortunate of the two of us."
All too soon, it was time for the traveler to go. As they bade goodbye to the forest and to the fox, they knew that they would not return, but they would carry the memories with them always. The next day, the fox was sitting in the clearing, waiting patiently. So Chapter 1 of Foxes and Fables.
We've now docked at Wellington Skyport. Thank you for flying with Kiwi Airlines, and we hope to see you again.
The intercom's announcement is muffled in the closet where I'm hiding, just like the clatter of seatbelts and the chattering of passengers getting ready to disembark. Wiggle around impatiently, sore from crouching in here for, I don't even know how long it's been. Hours, for sure. The last few minutes always feel like they take the longest. Parade of footsteps begins to pass outside my door. It's time. Listen carefully, waiting for a gap in the crowd. When it comes, I stand up and push the door open in a single movement. I give a wink to the shocked-looking lady that I stepped down in front of. She doesn't even have time to gasp before I'm out of her sight. Humans, they're always kind of slow. I nod at the smiling flight attendant as I pass her by, and then throw out my hood to cover my face. It's been a while since I last flew, but it doesn't seem like things have changed much. It's always been harder to sneak on than it is to sneak off. I follow the crowd to the end of the walkway and step out onto the ground. After a long stretch, I take a deep breath and savor the fresh air after being stowed away for so long. Wellington Skyport, New Zealand.
I made it!
My breathless voice joins the pleasant hum of the skyport. A few clouds drift lazily overhead, almost within arm's reach. The sound of the waves rolling onto the shores like a lullaby makes me want to burrow into the sand and take a nap. But I can't. First, I need to get out of here. And there's one more challenge ahead. Up ahead, the snaking line of passengers splits as people are funneled into a few security stations. While I'm too far back to hear what the guards are saying, it looks like they're examining a little booklet from each traveler before letting them pass. Humans sure like processes and procedures. I definitely don't have a booklet like that. Glancing around, I hope to find another way out. An open window would work, or even an unguarded exit. Pretty sneaky when I need to be. Unfortunately, it looks like the only way to leave is to go through security. Without any other option, I join one of the lines and prepare myself. I'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. The line moves briskly as passengers are cleared one after the other, and I'm almost at the front of the queue before I know it. As the passenger in front of me approaches the booth, I listen closely.
Good afternoon. Passport, please.
Right here. It's good to be home.
I'm sure. Welcome back.
He stamps something in the man's booklet and then hands it back to him, and he continues on out of the skyport.
Next.
That's me. I don't know what they do to people without papers, but I don't want to find out. I'm sure it involves lots of questions, being escorted around, and other unpleasant stuff. Casually approaching the gates, I put on my brightest, friendliest smile while keeping a slight distance. With my breathing steady and tail calm, I'm sure I can put on a convincing act.
Passport, please.
Of course!
I fumble around in my pockets, pretending to look for my passport. Instead, I grab the useless, clunky phone that I've been carrying around and let it clatter to the ground at the guard's feet. As expected, he bends down to retrieve it for me,
Oh, let me get that for you.
and I make a run for it, bolting ahead and pushing past security booths as quickly as I can.
Hey, you, wait!
Stop!
By the time they realize what's happened, I already have a few seconds head start. My inhuman speed, combined with the natural chaos of the skyport, should also buy me a bit of time. Still, I've got to get them off my tail. Dashing through the skyport doors and out onto the roads outside, I don't even have time to take in the city. Without stopping for breath, I run into the narrow streets while weaving between cars and shocked bystanders. Being seen by so many people like this is annoying, but it won't matter by tomorrow. Putting the thought out of my mind, I vault over a low wall into a nearby alley and land in a crouch. Out of sight, but only for a moment. Close my eyes and relax my muscles. All feeling disappears except a slight warmth against my neck. My secret weapon. The unremarkable-looking necklace is one of my only possessions, and by far the most important. A certain one of the beads strung around my neck begins to heat up in response to my will. A soothing warmth flows through my body. My hands and feet begin to morph first, the fur chasing up my arms and legs as they distort and shorten. The sensation was so bizarre the first few times I tried. It's amazing how it's become second nature by now. Closing my eyes, I let my body and head shift and turn. The face is always a little uncomfortable, my once human face changing and lengthening into a snout with some difficulty. The process complete, after only a few seconds, I open my eyes not as a human, but as a fox. I dart away without waiting, far quicker on 4 legs than I can ever be on 2. Obstacles like the stack of garbage cans ahead would be a pain to get past as a human, but instead I'm able to flip between the gaps without slowing down.
That's her! I know it!
Sounds like the security guard hasn't given up on me yet. pick up the pace, running as fast as my paws will take me. His heavy breathing gets further and further away. Just a minute or two, I know I'm safe. I don't know where I am, but it's not like I knew where I was when I started running. I almost feel bad for the guy who's chasing me. They never stood a chance. Even in the crowded city streets, there's no way anyone or anything can outrun me. The wind just wishes it could keep up with me. Comfortable that the danger's past, I slip into another alley. Once I'm sure that I'm alone, I close my eyes and concentrate on the form I want to take once more. The familiar flowing warmth runs through me again, and my body stretching and deforming at my command. A few seconds later, and I open my eyes and glance at my hands.
Better luck next time.
Brushing the dust off myself, I nonchalantly stroll out of the alleyway and back into the street. The odd person walks by on this errand or another, not paying any attention to me, just the way I like it.
Left, right, past turn, left.
Mapping out my path in my head, I look for a way to the main roads. It'll be easier to get my bearings there. Pick turns at random, without any real destination in mind. When I decided to make the journey to Wellington, it was pretty impulsive. I'd overheard another pair of travelers talking about it and how beautiful a city it is. With a moment now to take in the scenery, I can see they weren't wrong. The streets around here seem like a mix of homes and businesses. Everything's very colorful. Even the brick walls are covered in pictures and paint. In the distance, I can see green hills that are lined with houses, as well as green hills that are completely empty. There are a lot of hills, now that I look around some. From just a few streets away, the sound of pedestrians and busy intersections floats my way. I head in that direction, taking shortcuts through yards and driveways when it's convenient. In one lawn, a big dog growls at me as I walk past. When I transform and growl right back, he tucks his tail and runs away. Dogs and I have always had an understanding. After squeezing through one last narrow side street, I finally emerge onto what looks like a main road. There's no cars here, but tons of people on foot. There are brightly colored signs and decorations on most of the buildings. In the middle of the street, there are fountains and benches and trees and all kinds of stuff. The best part is the variety of stores. Stroll past a few of the windows and peek in, I can already tell I'll be doing most of my shopping here. There's stores with food, with clothes, and just about everything else. I don't have any money on me, but that isn't exactly a problem. What is a problem is that it's too crowded. Dodging a couple of security guards is one thing, but trying to escape down a busy street with lots of people could be too much even for me. I'll just have to remember where this place is and make another visit later, after all the shops are closed. Then, a man in a bright coat hurries past me, talking loudly on his phone in a language I don't recognize. So distracted he doesn't even notice when his wallet falls out of his pocket and onto the sidewalk. I notice, of course. Seeing an opportunity, I zip over and snatch it up, prying open the black leather pockets, I find...
Score!
A couple of bills and what I figure is the local currency. Slide the money out and into a pocket of my jacket. But now the man is so far ahead, he's almost out of sight. To hurry to catch up to him and give him back his wallet, and he barely even says thank you.
I should have just kept the whole thing.
It's only fair that I get a little something for myself, since it's not like he would have ever gotten it back without me. Head back to my bench and inspect my prize. A blue bill and a brown one. These feel sturdy, nothing like the paper I expected.
1, 0, 10, and 5. So 15.
15 isn't much. I definitely should have kept the whole wallet. Oh well, at least this should be enough to buy myself something to drink. My thirst is starting to get the better of me, as I haven't had anything since I snuck onto the airship. Following my nose, I walk down the busy streets until I find one of the many cafes lining the path. The sign hanging above its door has a picture of a bell on it. A charming bell rings out from somewhere above the door as I enter. Can't help but savor the wave of refreshing, cool air washing over me, which feels even better after so much running.
Hiya! Welcome to the Bell House.
So the barista here, we will learn her name in a second, is voiced by Molly Zhang. For those just quite active in anime and games, her biggest role right now is Zila, and Honkai Star Rail. So. The barista behind the counter is the only other person in the store right now. As I nod in greeting and she leans forward with a cup in one hand and a pen in her other.
What can I get you? We're having a special on affogatos if you want to try one. Usually, they're like $7, but today, they're only $5. I'd like a...
I'm not sure what an affogato is. Isn't that a vegetable? Not wanting to commit to the strange-sounding drink, I look at the menu instead. Unfortunately, it's full of handwritten, spindly letters. I can't read a single word, and there's no helpful pictures. Safe option it is.
I'll just have a vanilla latte. Ugh, boring. But okay. Name? Miho.
It's my first time testing out how that name sounds, and I decide that I like it. Decided on the airship that was the name I would use here in Wellington. I've used so many names throughout my life that I can't remember most of them. For each new city I visit, I come up with something new. Boxes don't have any use for names, so nobody's ever given me one. She scribbles something on the cup with a black marker. That's how this name looks. I'm even more pleased with it.
$4.50, please.
I hand her the brown bill and she gives me back a big coin with a picture of a boat on it.
All right. I'll have this ready for you in no time.
I think New Zealand's currency is just New Zealand dollars. I still think that Australia missed the boat by not agreeing to the petition to rename their currency the dollary-do after that episode of The Simpsons. That is an actual thing, by the way. You can look it up. There was a petition in Australia following that episode that got government attention, and they declined. Missed opportunity. The just Australian dollar is boring. I don't know what New Zealand's would have been, though. Anyway, she sure seems enthusiastic. I nod as she spins around and starts working. Looking about somewhere to sit, I decide on a seat by the window with the sun pouring in. Near the entrance of the cafe, there's a wire rack with stacks of maps and tourist pamphlets, so I grab one of the maps before taking my seat. This cafe is big and bright with plants everywhere, on the walls, on the floor, and on the ceiling. Most of them are real and vibrant, obviously being well cared for. Even the lights that hang down from the ceiling have glass ornaments with little shrubs in them. Seems like I made a good choice coming here. Any place with a bit of nature in it is more comfortable to me than places without.
I guess I should find a place to stay.
Looking down to the map I took, I traced the path I made from the port to this cafe. It's useful, but it doesn't really tell me anything helpful about the houses in particular. I need to find a higher vantage point. Move my finger along the hills I noticed from outside, following the little brown path to a patch of green with a little mountain icon. That should work for now.
Miho!
My ears perk up right as the barista arrives and places my drink in front of me.
Thanks!
Reach over and take the warm cup in my hands, but the barista doesn't let go.
You ready for the rain tomorrow? Huh? It's gonna rain tomorrow.
I glance behind me out the window. It's as sunny and blue a day as I've ever seen.
How do you know that? There aren't any clouds out there. I'm just good with the weather. Anyway, if you forget, then you'll be sorry.
People are weird. Does the barista pull that on everyone? Standing on the doorstep, I have my first sip.
Oh, this is really good.
It's pretty plain, but well made. The coffee isn't too bitter, which is perfect for me. With a moment to myself, my thoughts turn inwards as I sip the warm drink. My first travels were in search of someone, but despite my whole life spent trying, I haven't made any progress in finding them. So I've taken to simply wandering, going wherever I wish at the time. Been itching for a change of scenery anyway, so I boarded, well, snuck onto, the first airship that I could. The best part about owning nothing but the clothes on my back is I can pick up and leave whenever I feel like it. Take a moment to get my bearings, look around. I see a tired-looking person shuffling along the far footpath with a briefcase in their hand. They stop outside one of the buildings, take a deep breath, and pat their face a couple times, and then go inside. They must not be looking forward to whatever's going to happen in there. Maybe they have to fight someone. Through the large glass windows of another store, Fawn is trying on a pair of shoes, but they don't seem to fit her hooves. The people waiting with her look annoyed. I wonder if she fusses around with footwear a lot. For a while, I simply let the day roll by and watch the various figures who stroll by. People watching's fun, especially in such a busy city. Pause here for a second. So this is a real street in Wellington. I believe it's called Cuba Street. It's right in the middle of downtown. All the biggest and most popular kind of bars and restaurants and cafes and things are on it. And it goes from like the main thoroughfare in and out of the city straight down to the water and to Te Papa, the big museum that's there. So eventually I go to sip my coffee, only to find nothing coming out. With no more reason to stick around, it's time to go. The street is like this, actually, in real life as well. Parts of it are for cars. A large section of the middle of it is closed off and is a nice pedestrian area. What a novel idea. On the sunlit street, I look about to match what I can see with the map's directions. There's a tall green mountain in the distance ahead of me, which must be the one on the map. It's the perfect vantage point for the city. Ideally, I'll find an empty building I can crash in, but it's not necessary. A roof over my head would be nice, but I'm plenty used to sleeping outside under the stars. Sometimes it's even better than sleeping in a bed. Encouraged by the plan forming in my head, I set off on the long walk to the summit. I believe it is this street? It's one of these two in the middle here. So it goes, Te Papa's down here. This is kind of the main road into the city. You can see there it goes under and then cuts up north. This map is oriented backwards, in fact. South is this way, north is this way. Wellington is at the far southern end of the northern island. And this here is Mount Victoria. The path to the mountain turns out to be less simple than the map made it look. First, a trail takes me along the waterfront, and then it turns upwards through a small forested area. Being among the trees and their tall shadows makes me feel at home. When the path leaves the woods again, I'm a little disappointed. Travels up a paved road, so I stick to the edge to avoid passing cars. Sometimes I take shortcuts through yards or up unmarked paths. Quite a few nice-looking homes right along the roadside. Make a mental note to check them out when I'm low on money or food. Not much further along, a concrete lookout offers another glimpse of the city below. A couple airships are coming into dock at the skyport, probably from one of the other floating islands. Still a ways to go to the top of the mountain, but luckily the walk has been easy so far. I wouldn't even consider it a hike. Eventually, I reach the final stretch of road. I can see where it curves ahead of the summit, and I hurry to the end. Metal railing spreads out like a crowd on top of the mountain. As I toss my empty cup away, a pair of chatting tourists pass me by.
How far is it from here?
Oh, about an hour from the base of Mount Victoria, so a bit further from here.
Mount Victoria.
Pardon, have to take frequent water breaks, because we're going to be reading a lot. I'm glad to know what this place is called. I say the name out loud to help commit it to memory. So Mount Victoria does have this gorgeous overlook, looking over the entirety of Wellington. Mount Victoria is also where the get off the road scene was in Fellowship of the Ring. So you can see that little bit of forested area. There's a big national park all around it. And yeah, they filmed it just in the middle of this mountain in the middle of Wellington. So, standing at the edge, I'm treated to a wonderful view of Wellington. The city forms a crescent moon shape around the bay, which glitters like a sapphire from up here. The sun is starting to set, and that makes the water even more shimmery. Even more airships can be seen coming and going. I think I can see the edge of the floating island we're on, miles out in the open sky. Survey the city using the skyport as a reference point. From up here, what felt like such a long chase really doesn't look far at all. If I strain my eyes, I think I can see the coffee shop from earlier. What was that barista said it was called? The Bell House? It's kind of tough to make out details. My hearing and sense of smell may be great, but my eyes aren't that much better than a human's. Then I noticed something useful.
Look! Is that our house?
Probably. What can you see from here?
I see Dad's car!
Not too far away, there's a little kid who's using a pair of metal tubes attached to a post. His mom is helping him aim it at the city. Must be something that improves your vision. The moment the kid and his mom leave, I hurry over before someone else can get them first. Press my eyes the same spot as the child did, though all I can see is black. I try moving it around, but it doesn't change. Is this thing busted? Some text is printed on the side. I have no idea what it says. There's a small slot, though, with a picture of a coin next to it. Lucky for me, it's the coin that has a 50 on it. Put the coin that I received from the barista into the slot and spin a lever. The machine eats my coin, and then when I put my eyes to it again...
Yes!
So yeah, that is Te Papa, the big museum. Most of New Zealand's kind of cultural artifacts are stored there. There's the harbor, downtown and everything. And then on the other side of the mountain is the airport, or I guess Skyport in this case, and some other offices and businesses and things. I always think it's interesting to orient yourself in a location, especially when it's a real world one, so that's why I'm doing that. Everything looks so much closer now. Even the trees on the other side of the hill appear in crystal clear detail, and I'm standing right next to them. I am the viewing glasses of the city, looking around, trying to find a good place to rest for the night. Houses are a no-go. Even if they look empty or abandoned, you can never let your guard down for a minute. Same with most shops. I don't have enough money for a hotel, and I won't risk sneaking into one of those either. Studying the sights, trying to memorize as much as I can, there's a clicking sound, and once again the view goes black. Stupid machine. Smack it a couple times and check again, but I still can't see anything.
Well, whatever. Looks like I'm sleeping outside tonight. Guess this place is as good as any.
Head back down the trail a little bit and veer off it into the underbrush.
Not perfect, but it'll do.
It's not exactly the wilderness, but just about everything around here seems cityfied to some extent. Miho doesn't know about gentrification. Usually when I make a den, I prefer to find a place far from other people. A place where nobody will find me. I doubt I'll find anything perfect, but this is good enough.
It's fine. Can't afford to be picky.
Once the trail I was on is out of sight, I transform again. My neck gets warm as the bead activates, and a few seconds later, I'm on all fours. As a fox, the sensations of nature are much stronger. The earth beneath my paws is cool and refreshing, and the breeze whips through my tails like a massage. I hurry down a hill covered in grass so tall that it reaches way over my head. I can smell fresh water and follow the scent to a small stream where I'm able to quench my thirst. It's just as satisfying as the drink I got at the cafe, but in a different way. Being able to slurp up water is way more enjoyable than having to use a straw, or worse, one of those lids with the tiny holes. Those are the worst. For a little while, I follow my nose to some berries and some edible plants that'll do for a snack. Unfortunately, unlike the water, foraging is never as satisfying as eating human food. If I want a real meal tonight, then I should pick up the pace before it gets too late. Still, I want to get this done now, while there's still daylight. Keep close to the stream and search for a place where the ground is soft. Before too long, I find a promising area. A small valley with hills on most sides and thick foliage on the others. Still close enough to civilization to hear cars and other city noise, but the area I'm in doesn't seem like it gets visited too often. At the very least, it doesn't really smell like people. The spot that I settle on is a nice mound of earth near the edge of the woods, partially hidden by a tall tree with low-hanging leaves. Even if no one comes by, it makes me feel better knowing I'll be out of sight. And so, I start to dig. My claws rip away at the dirt as I burrow downwards, widening the tunnel just enough for my sleek frame to fit. First, I dig forward, then downwards, widening out an area that's big enough for my whole body to fit. This is something I've been doing my whole life, even back when I was just a regular fox. I think that's why I don't mind it too much, compared to sleeping inside somewhere. It just feels right to me. Takes a while, and by the time I'm finally finished, the first few stars have started to peek out from the sky. Shake myself clean of the dirt that sticks to my coat, and then transform back into my human form.
Spread this here, a couple of branches here, some leaves there.
Walk around the valley a bit, checking from different angles.
Not bad for just an afternoon's work.
If you weren't looking for it, I don't think you'd ever notice anything out of place. All that digging has made me work up an appetite, and not the kind that'll be satisfied with just a few berries.
Ugh, I'm so hungry. I haven't had a real meal since yesterday.
My stomach rumbles painfully. I've been so busy since arriving here in Wellington that I kind of just forgot how hungry I was. I'll grab some human food back in town. Casting one last glance at my afternoon's work, I set off towards the city.
Work never ends. Time to get some food!
I'm a little disappointed when I finally get back to the busy street from before. I was hoping it would be emptier now and that all the stores would be closed. Turns out I was half right. A lot of shops have gone dark for the evening. There are just as many people walking around now as there were earlier. In fact, there might be even more. Patio of a restaurant has a bunch of tables full. Mermaid is sitting in the fountain I sat by earlier, chatting with a cyclops. Even the cafe that I visited is crowded now, with a line almost out the door. After pacing up and down the road for a while, I sit down and try to figure out what to do next. I'm not too worried about what would happen if I get caught stealing. I'd just escape, obviously. And if somehow they managed to catch me, it wouldn't be an issue for very long. See, there's something different about me that makes me extra good at being a thief. It's not just the skills I've practiced over the years, like picking locks and sneaking around. Nope, it's a bit more special than that. Without fail, every person I meet forgets about me by the next day. I don't know why, and I really don't care either. It's magic, that's all I know about it. Really useful magic. Everywhere I go, no matter how careless I am, all my problems are solved by the next day. That doesn't mean there's no danger. I've been caught in the act before and beaten or harassed before I can manage to get away. I've even lost a few prizes that I stole fair and square because I had to get going in a hurry. But if someone sees me and isn't able to stop me, I know I'll be home free. Sure, they might remember having something stolen, but they'll never know who did it. It almost makes things too easy. Right now it'd be smarter to just come back even later, in the dead of night, and hope there are no people around. I'd be able to take my time browsing without having to worry about making a quick escape. Where's the fun in that, though? I walk casually up and down the street, glancing into windows without being too obvious about it. Some stores still have customers inside, others have locked their doors and shut off the lights. Most of the restaurants are still open and only making me hungrier. Stealing from restaurants is a bit much even for me, though. I've tried it before, but the cluttered kitchens, as well as the tables and chairs, make it hard to get around. Plus, I've learned the hard way that there are plenty of hot or sharp things for angry cooks to throw at you as you try to make your way out. Instead, packaged and pre-made foods are my best friends. Things I can grab multiples of at once and stuff into my pockets. If I'm really lucky, I'll find a place with refrigerated sandwiches or salads. Sometimes, perfectly good hot food gets thrown out. You wouldn't believe the kind of stuff that's available if you don't mind sifting through the trash a little bit. It's not ideal, of course, but a hot meal's a hot meal. I know plenty of foxes who've eaten much worse.
Target spotted.
It's perfect. A small convenience store has snacks lined up behind the front window. Even better, the shops on either side of it are closed too, so there's not too many other people in the area.
Locked, huh? Not surprising.
Head down a nearby alley and find the back door, which is probably where they bring in new products. The alleyway is dark to begin with, and my dark clothes help me hide even better. I glance around the alley, glad like always for my excellent night vision. Nobody's watching, nobody's even around. Pull my hood up over my ears and tuck my tail between my legs, leaning against the sturdy door. To anyone not looking closely, I'm sure I appear as nothing more than a shadow. Dig around in my pocket until I find my trusty lockpick, and then set to work on the door. It isn't a complicated lock at all, just a regular keyhole. With a click, the latch springs open just a few short moments later.
Bingo. Huh?
I try to tug the door towards me, but there's a chain on the inside that keeps it from opening very wide. There's no way a human could fit through the gap, but it would be easy for a fox. First, I slink away for a bit, idling on the nearby street like a regular pedestrian. Wait to see if anyone shows up, just in case I triggered a silent security system. After about 10 minutes, I decide it's safe. Transform under cover of darkness in the alley, slip into the building before transforming back. Shop isn't very big, and the receiving area is just a small hallway with a few boxes of soda and candy bars on the floor. Grab a couple of my favorites and shove them into my pockets. I creep into the main area, making sure to stay low to the ground, trying to avoid being seen from outside. I'm not exactly hidden, but as long as I don't stand up, I shouldn't attract anyone's attention. I move fast, cramming as much into my coat as I can. Cookies, protein bars, popcorn. I'm not picky. When my coat starts to feel pretty heavy, I grab a plastic bag from behind the counter and transfer some of my loot into there. I also take a few bottles of water and sports drinks from the coolers. Just as I'm about to leave, I spot a few of those coveted plastic-wrapped sandwiches I was thinking about earlier.
Jackpot!
I fill my bag with sandwiches until it's almost overflowing, and I head back out the way I came in. In total, I was in and out in under 5 minutes. I've got enough supplies to last me several days. Step into the alley, I glance around in both directions, making sure no one saw me emerge from the store. I don't see anyone, but my neck prickles as if someone is watching me. I sniff the air, but don't notice anything out of the ordinary. Nothing that wasn't there before. Still... Suddenly there's a flap of wings and a bat flutters past me from out of the shadows, goes right over my head and then disappears from sight up the street.
Oh, that's it?
I let out the breath I'd been holding and start making my way back towards the mountain where I made my den. Let the bag swing from my arm as I walk, whistling a song I heard earlier. I'm not able to keep a smile off my face.
All in all, not a bad first day. I've got a nice nest, food to spare, and plenty of places to explore tomorrow.
There's been plenty of days in my life where I've had none of those things. I unwrap one of the sandwiches that I grabbed and take a big bite.
Nothing beats the taste of hard work.
I hope Wellington continues to treat me well while I'm here.
So tired. I'm gonna sleep so well tonight.
I unpack everything that I got from the store, as well as the treasures that I always carry with me. My lockpick, my wallet, a few pretty stones. The only thing that I leave in my jacket is a small scroll.
Can't get that damaged or dirty.
Change back into a fox and then dig another hole near the entrance to my den. This one is much simpler and shallower. I bury some of the snacks I stole before covering them up with dirt.
Not like anyone's gonna come by and swipe my things, but better safe than sorry. I stole this myself, after all. Don't want it being stolen from me.
Stuff like my pen and my favorite rock go into the burrow with me, since I like having them close by. Once I've gotten everything where it belongs, I climb into the hole myself, turning a few circles before settling down with my tail wrapped around me. From here, I have a perfect view of the stars. I look up at the clear night sky through the mouth of the tunnel. I feel bad for all the people way down on the underworld.
Can they even see the stars from there?
I've never been to the underworld, so I have no idea. I can't imagine falling asleep without them. Comfortable and safe, I close my eyes and quickly slip off to dreamland. I wake up to trouble, or at least a threat. I'm sure it's only morning as I peer out of my burrow's entrance. The sky is already dark and foreboding. My attention moves from the ominous rain clouds above to the trees outside my den, their branches shaking in the strong breeze.
I can't believe that girl from the cafe was right!
I climb up the tunnel and out into the open, sniffing the air. It just tells me what I already know. Storm is coming, and fast. But also, another scent plays on my nose, one so faint that I almost brush it off before taking another smell. Surely I'm wrong. There's no way that... Lowering my snout to the ground, I investigate the area and then decide that I'm right. I change into my human form and look around.
Someone's been here.
Yes, someone's definitely been here, but the scent isn't a human's. It's vaguely familiar, but at the same time, not like anything I recognize.
And it definitely wasn't here when I went to sleep.
They must have come here in the night and stopped right outside my den.
Were they watching me sleep? Oh crap!
As a fox, I dive back into my hole to make sure everything's still there. My heart pounds in my chest, but nothing appears to be missing. Also check the spot where I buried my stash from last night, but that hasn't been disturbed either. I breathe a sigh of relief. If my stuff had been stolen, I'd be so mad. But still, that doesn't answer the question of what did they want, and that's even more concerning. I'm a pretty light sleeper, and usually the slightest sound or motion will wake me up. So if someone is able to sneak up on me, even I have to be impressed. Impressed and a little worried. I've got a more pressing issue right now, though, and I stare up at the sky in disappointment.
Ugh, I hate the rain.
I would have found a different place to make my nest and hide my supplies if I'd known this would happen. Instead, both burrows will probably just be piles of mud by the end of today.
I should have found a place with a roof after all.
I filled my pockets with my most important possessions and some of the food I grabbed last night. Everything else I wrap as tightly in the plastic bags as I can and bury them in my den. Hopefully I can find somewhere fast, then move everything else over before it gets ruined. An abandoned house would be perfect, or some other place I'd be able to hide. Just about to get going when a loud flapping sound overhead catches my attention. I expect it to be another bird, but instead it's yet another bat. This one's even bigger than the one I saw last night. Its wings are way longer and noisier. You can even hear it squeaking something as it flies past. Some people say bats and foxes are familiar. I don't see it. I watch it fly around for a little while before it takes off towards the city.
Maybe it knows somewhere to stay. Guess I'll follow it for now.
A couple of times it disappears between the trees or just too far ahead, but I always manage to catch back up. Eventually we're out of the woods and back into civilization, where a car whizzes right past me. There's a sidewalk here and other people walking around. Most of them look up at the sky nervously, though, and everyone seems to be in a hurry.
Guess I'm not the only one looking to get away from the rain.
Just about to get going when a loud flapping sound overhead catches my attention. I expect it to be a bird, but instead it's yet another bat. More people seem to be going in the direction I was headed than anywhere else, so I stick to that. By now, my winged guide is almost out of sight again, just a little black speck in the sky flying into the distance. Further up this road, there's a slope that leads to a big, fancy-looking building. Doesn't look like a shop or a restaurant, at least not one that I've ever seen. There's so many people going in and out, it has to be open to the public. It's good enough for me. Give me somewhere dry to spend some time, and maybe I can learn something useful. Plus, places like this usually have plenty of valuables inside. If I'm lucky, I might be able to find something to fund my next few days. After all, the bigger the target, the less likely they are to notice something's missing. The sturdy oak door isn't as heavy as it looks, a firm push being enough to heave it open. Gingerly stepping inside and out of the rain, I'm greeted by books. Lots of books. Books on shelves, books on tables, books on the floor, books everywhere. The place even smells of musty old paper, and the dozen or so people inside are mostly leafing through the pages in the aisles. The odd silence about the building is striking, given how many are around. It doesn't look like a shop, so I assume this must be a library. I've heard of them, but I've never been in one. No point, since I can't read at all. But it's warm and cozy and very dry, so it'll do just fine. There's a desk near the entrance with a computer on it that I assume would be where I check in. It's unattended, which is good for me. Take a seat in the empty chair nearby and sit just to observe for a bit. There's plenty of people, but it's not too busy. Lots of empty, unwatched spaces. Most folks seem to be here alone or in small groups that keep to themselves. There's not much conversation going on, and what there is all whispered. Nobody gives me a second glance, which is a good sign. It means I'm probably not breaking any rules just by being here. Behind the desk, there's a hallway leading deeper into the building, and I peek around the corner to see what's back there. All I can see are some shut doors, and at the very back, a staircase. After glancing around to make sure no one's watching, I sneak down the hall and try a couple doors. All of them are locked. I could probably pick them if I wanted to. No sense trying to do that now, though. Is there anything more valuable around here? An antique clock or a vase would be perfect. Sadly, it's almost all books. Books and small trinkets look pretty worthless, not even worth the trouble of stealing. At least it's got a roof. I do spot a couple of promising items, like a set of old coins, and memorize their locations. I wander back into the main area where I came in. Outside, it hasn't started raining yet, but it's only a matter of time. The wind is loud and gusty, and even opening the door is enough to make me shiver. If nothing else, I can probably wait out the rain here, but my poor abandoned snacks back at the den, what a waste. Can't do anything about it now, though. I should keep looking around. Move slowly through the area, never going beyond what seems to be the public space. I pretend to inspect a few books, taking them off the shelves and flipping through the pages, but I'm actually mapping out the place in my head. Doors, windows, potential places to hide, things like that. Most of the time, this kind of info is unnecessary. It's been at least a few decades since I've had to make a dramatic escape from anywhere. At this point, plotting an escape route is just a habit. Overall, I like what I'm seeing. Even with the locked doors and off-limits hallways, there's a lot of nooks and crannies to make especially good hiding spaces, especially as a fox. From the thick dust that coats a lot of these areas, I can tell they don't get a whole lot of visitors. If I'm careful, I might be able to go a whole week without being noticed. As long as I can get in and out of the building easily, that is. And with the huge windows that line the back wall, that seems easy enough. I weave around a couple shelves that are taller than I am, heading for the far back corner. I peer around the corner of the last aisle just to make sure I'm alone. But I'm not. At a small table by the window sits a woman with a small book in her hand, resting against her fingers. I will say that sentence does bother me. Small table and then small book. Thesaurus. No. She's perfectly still, but mouths the words on the page as she reads, like she's tasting them instead of just seeing them. Her expression is the distant look of someone way off in their own world, far away from this one. She looks so at peace that I think she must belong in that other world. She's beautiful and elegant in the same way as a painting, the light from the window shining on her like a display. I duck back behind the bookshelf, pressing one hand to my racing heart. The other bumps against one of the books on the shelf, and it falls with a dusty thump. Cursing my clumsiness, I silently back away in case she decides to investigate, but she doesn't leave her chair.
I suppose it's nothing.
She turns and gazes out the open window. At what? I don't know. A moment later, she returns to her book and leaves this world again. I stay hidden, my face still burning a little bit. Yes, I think this will be the perfect place to spend some time. Suddenly, there's a much louder boom than the one I caused as thunder rumbles outside. A few people around the library startle at the sound and look around. Sighing, the girl in the chair pulls the window beside her closed, the first drops of rain falling not a minute later. I'll investigate the windows later. Right now, I don't want to bother her. So I head back to one of the plush chairs on the other side of the library and take a seat. I could be here a while, depending on how long the rain lasts, so I may as well get comfy. I find a few books that have more pictures than words and curl up in one of the soft chairs to flip through them. There aren't as many of those ones, though, and I go through a stack pretty fast. It takes long enough for the rain to start, though. The longer I read, the louder the pounding of the rain and the howling of the wind become. Guess it's not letting up anytime soon. I can't complain, though. This library is pretty cozy by my usual standards. It's warm and safe, and nobody tells me to go away. I even have snacks. More than once, I get up and walk around the library again, even though I've gotten most of it memorized by now. Take note of things like a child's stuffed toy that's lying on the floor in one section, or the thin blanket that's stuffed between a bookshelf and the wall. My third or fourth trip around, I finally find something I've been looking for. one of the far corners, totally opposite from where I saw the reading girl earlier. Oh my goodness. There's that tongue twister. There's a single chair and a small table. On the wall nearby is a portrait. The painting itself is of a girl with light brown hair, but I barely pay any attention to that. What I'm interested in is the frame. It's lovely. It looks like it might be made out of gold. It certainly shines like it. It's carved intricately into the shape of waves, flowing up and down. It's gotta be worth something. Pretend not to pay much attention to it as I make my way back to the table. Too many other people around for me to be able to sneak out, and it's too big to fit under my jacket without it being obvious. Just means I'll have to come back some other time, maybe once this place is closed. The hours pass by and the storm continues. I'm kind of disappointed about losing a whole day, especially so soon after arriving, but it's not like I'm in any sort of hurry. Pat one of my pockets, feeling the familiar and reassuring weight of the paper scroll that's tucked away there. The scroll is the only thing close to a purpose that I have, and it's not particularly urgent. Or at least I don't have any way to deal with it faster. I spend a long time reading. It's almost afternoon when I go out and check the windows again. The rough weather outside continues. At this rate, I'll be sleeping in a puddle of mud tonight. Unless... Quick check shows that a lot of the other library patrons have left. It's not empty, but it's not nearly as full as earlier. Guess some of them decided it was worth braving the rain. Looking as nonchalant as I can, I get up from my seat and pretend to browse again, slowly moving through the shelves. The reading girl's gone now, though she's not what I was looking for. Instead, I pick up the dropped toy and blanket that I spotted earlier, head to one of the out-of-the-way hiding spots I picked out before. It's on the floor, between a shelf and the wall, but has a bit of carpet to make it softer. Even better, it's between two corner shelves, meaning it's practically out of sight if you're not looking for it. I wriggle my way between the furniture and lie down, using the toy as a pillow and draping the blanket over me. Toss and turn a few times before finally settling down.
Yep, not bad at all.
Even though I haven't done much today, I'm always down to take a nap. I can pass a few hours by sleeping, wake up once it's dark, and then grab that picture frame and be on my way. I have to rebuild my den once I get back, but that's a problem for future me. Yawning, I stare up at the ceiling until my eyes get heavy.
Maybe today won't be a total waste after all.
Soft sound of cloth rustling wakes me from a dreamless sleep. How did someone sneak up on me twice now? I don't know how long it's been. The sky outside has darkened significantly. Now stars twinkle outside the window. There's no time to react as the sound comes closer. I hear no footsteps, but suddenly a woman steps into view. Her clothes are pure white, making her stand out like a ghost in the dark library. Her cape rustles again as she reaches towards one of the shelves. One of the shelves I'm hiding behind, to be precise. Gingerly, she moves two books to the side and then slides another book into the place she created. She handles them like precious treasures that might break if she's too rough. I stay perfectly still, afraid to even breathe in case she notices me. My heart beats wildly as she slowly and deliberately looks over the shelf, examining their titles before taking a book from the second lowest row. Through the gaps she creates in the shelves, our eyes meet in the darkness. Oh no. I tense up as she steps around the shelving between us to get a better look at me, preparing myself to leap away if the need arises. Carefully memorized layout of the library flashes through my mind as I frantically plot the best way to flee. Even as I prepare my escape, I can see her taking in everything about me. The stolen blanket, the makeshift pillow, my generally disheveled appearance. She opens her mouth, and I brace myself for the verbal attack that's sure to come.
Hello there. May I ask why you're sleeping on the floor?
It doesn't matter what I say, just distract her enough to get away.
I don't have anywhere else to sleep.
I thought so.
She leans down and offers me a hand. I look at it warily. I don't take it, but I slowly stand, letting the blanket fall to my feet, trying to subtly get in position to run.
Well, I have an extra room on the second floor that you're welcome to borrow, if you'd prefer that. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to remain here, on the ground. I apologize for waking you.
With a smile, the oddly calm woman steps away and busies herself with organizing another row of books. She probably expects me to let my guard down and take her offer. I'm just a stranger, someone who broke into her library. There's no reason for her to treat me kindly. My years of experience, and there are plenty of those, tell me it's a trap.
Thanks, but no thanks. I'll just be going, actually. Sorry to bother you like this.
I hurry past her, shoulders tense as I expect her to grab me or try to stop me. She doesn't, though. The one time I glance back, she's watching me with a strange expression that I don't recognize. When I get outside and away from the library, I breathe a sigh of relief.
Whew, that was close. I'm not falling for that one again.
Last time I let someone feel sorry for me and accepted a place to stay, woke up to them trying to empty my wallet. I may be a thief, but at least I do it with honesty. I wouldn't try to trick anyone like that. It wasn't the first time someone tried to fool me and take advantage of me either.
Still, it's a shame to lose such a nice hiding place. Maybe I'll give it a couple days for that woman to forget about me, and then try again. If she wasn't lying about there being an empty room on the second floor, then maybe I could sneak into there.
Tonight, though, I'm on my own. Shivering, I wrap my coat and tail tightly around myself as I think about what to do next. The rain has stopped, although it's still cold and cloudy. My stomach grumbles since I haven't eaten anything other than snacks all day.
Ugh.
May as well get it over with and go check the status of my den.
Well, it could be worse.
It's not as bad as I expected, which is a pleasant surprise.
What's a little mine? It'll be just fine.
I swapped my fox form to prod around. The entrance is caved in a little, but after I scoop that out, I find the rest of the tunnels and main room are relatively intact. Cold as hell, but intact. Seems the trees protected the den a lot from the rain. Takes me a while to find the spot where I buried my stash, since the stick I used to mark the spot got washed away. Eventually I locate it, though, and start digging. Cold mud makes my paws dirty and sore. Little flecks cover my fur. After I finally reach the soggy plastic bags, I shake myself clean before opening them as a human. Some water seeped through, and I open the spoiled items before tossing them away. I'm not too picky, but I have plenty of other snacks to choose from.
Eat up, birdies!
After a few of them swoop down to inspect the offering, I scarf down a quick meal of cookies and unwarmed soup, along with some cold water from the stream. At least the water's satisfying. Then, even though I just woke up from a nap not too long ago, I shift back into my fox form to crawl into my den and... crawl into my den and curl up. Oh my goodness. Cannot read. Sure, it'll be a while before I fall asleep, but I don't feel like going back into town. I've had enough excitement for one day. This isn't all that bad, though. Regular foxes without magic powers have it way worse than I do. Although back when a fox was all I was, I wouldn't have really cared. To this day, I'm not sure what it is that makes me different. I used to be just like them. No desire to go beyond the forest or anything. Then, one day, I became whatever I am now. All that I had was my necklace, a small scroll that I can't read, and the memory of the person who had given it to me. They were so kind to me, that stranger in the forest. They wished me well, even though I was just an ordinary fox. Somehow that didn't seem to matter to them. Never even knew their name, just their face and their voice. I know that I'd recognize them when I see them again. It's just a matter of finding them. So since then, I've been looking and surviving. Looking for them is what keeps me going. It's enough to live for. If I wasn't, I don't know what else I'd be doing. I guess I'd just be surviving, but if that was the only thing, I think I'd rather just have stayed a fox. Standing outside my den in human form, I take stock of how things stand. The sun's thankfully out this morning, but everything remains damp. From the ground to the muggy air itself. The chill on the breeze is the worst, making me shiver every time it hits me. Bell House was pleasant when I visited a couple days ago, so I decided to head down towards the main street and get coffee while working on my next moves. Coming to the door of the cafe, I paused and wiped my feet on the mat outside. Human fascination with surrounding themselves in concrete makes a little more sense as I work the mud off my feet. With that, I finally head inside, only to stop in my tracks as the door shuts behind me. Standing behind the counter is the same girl who I saw reading in the library yesterday, talking with a customer as she takes their order. That gentle aura about her is unmistakable. The person in front of me finishes their order, and I step up to the counter.
Good morning. Welcome to the Bell House. What can I make for you today? Oh, hi. I'll have...
A vanilla latte? No, that's boring.
What do you recommend? I want to try something new. I'm glad you asked. I was just thinking that you look like the sort of person who would enjoy one of our Fairy Kiss chillers. It's one of our signature drinks, with a vanilla gelato base and a mint chocolate chip swirl.
I was planning to get something warm, but that does sound pretty good.
Okay, give me one of those then. Perfect, and could I get your name, please? It's Miho.
She scribbles something onto a cup and finishes it with a big flourish.
I'll have that right out for you. Thanks.
I pay and then go to the same seat as before, next to one of the windows. It's pretty empty in here again, so I can sit wherever I want. Before the barista starts making my drink, I spot her writing something else down in a little notebook. She glances my way once or twice while she does, but I pretend not to notice. Wonder what it is. The barista yesterday didn't write anything down. Anyway, I've got more important things on my mind. I'm all over the plan which is formed as I walked here, becoming increasingly happy with it. Tonight, I've already decided, I'm gonna sneak back into that library. Between that picture frame and some of the other trinkets I saw, I should be able to pilfer enough for my next few days in Wellington. Finding somewhere to sell it should be the easy part. I've got a dozen excuses I can recite about where the item came from. Dead grandma, spring cleaning, new renovations. Sometimes I try extra hard and pretend the things I'm selling are really special to me, and earn a bit more cash that way. Sometimes I just take whatever they give me. After years of watching other humans do it and trying it out myself, I've gotten good at pawning items off. I find myself idly watching the barista make my drink. While I do, I notice a disarming smile. Or practice a disarming smile, rather. All of her movements are quick and practiced, but she has that same faraway look in her eyes I noticed yesterday. She looks up and our eyes meet. I don't look away, but she turns pink before ducking behind a machine out of sight.
Huh. Weird girl.
I turn my head to look around the cafe, and a butterfly outside catches my attention, so I watch that instead. It flutters back and forth, landing on a flower and resting its wings.
Miho!
Oh, my coffee's ready. I quickly get up and skip over to the counter. Cup in hand, she starts to head over to give it to me. But then, several things happen at once. One of the little tassels on the pocket of her apron catches one of the drawers behind the counter. She jerks to a stop, eyes wide with surprise. My drink tumbles out of her hand, landing on the counter with a wet glop sound as the ice cream splats against it, sending mint green rivers of coffee everywhere. A few seconds pass, we just look at each other, neither of us quite sure what to do, and then she takes a deep breath.
I am so sorry. I'll make you a replacement right away. Just give me 1 second and I'll have that ready for you.
Her words spill out faster than the beverage, making it hard to even understand what she's saying. Her face is bright red as she spins around and grabs another empty cup. And she stops, hands hovering awkwardly.
Wait, I should clean this up before it dries and starts to go bad.
She hurries back to the mess, wiping at it with some napkins. She mops up as much as she can with one hand, then leaves the soggy paper cup on the counter while she starts to remake my drink. Remix my drink, that'd be pretty cool.
I'm really sorry. This is such an embarrassment.
I don't even know if she's talking to me or to herself. I freeze for a second, looking for an appropriate response to an apology. I'm not used to people apologizing to me.
Oh, it's fine. I'm not in a hurry.
Instead, I just sit back down at one of the tables and watch. She makes the drink twice as fast and then carries it very slowly to the counter, setting it down in a clean spot. This time, she takes a deep breath before speaking, like she's afraid she's going to mess that up too.
All right, here's your drink. Again, I'm very sorry. Oh. This is your first time here, isn't it? I hope it doesn't leave a bad impression.
Second, actually. Yesterday was the first time. How'd you know?
I make an effort to remember as many of our customers as I can, as well as their favorite orders. I believe you can learn a lot about a person from how they drink their coffee.
Well, that's too bad for her, because she won't remember me at all next time. Take a big sip of the drink she made for me. It's creamy and rich and sweet all at the same time. I will say, actually, the thing that this character is saying, since we don't know her name yet, I have heard that from several friends who are baristas, so interesting. I've never thought about it. I've thought about it in terms of how people have their liquor, but not coffee. But I guess it checks out.
Whoa, this is really good! It's kind of like a milkshake, but not. But it's not like coffee either.
I prefer tea myself.
Yes, exactly. I'm very glad that you like it. It's one of my favorite beverages that we serve. In fact, the recipe was my idea.
Whoa! They should put you in charge of all the recipes!
She smiles again. Seems like she's gotten over the crisis of the spilled drink already.
Thank you. I'll make you another one of my favorites next time, if you'd like.
Totally!
At least I know I'll know what to order next time, even though I'll have been forgotten. I'm already thinking of this place as my go-to coffee shop, especially since it's in a convenient area. Tasty drinks and cute baristas. I don't have a reason to go anywhere else. Knocking sound from the employee area gets both our attention.
Hey, Aspen, can you set another batch of croissants?
Croissant.
Oh, sure. I'll be right there.
She calls back over her shoulder, then looks back at me briefly.
Have a nice day, Miho.
You too!
With a wave, she gathers the trash from the cleanup and throws that away before disappearing into the back. So her name is Aspen. That's a pretty name. I'll have to try and remember that. Getting up from my seat, I decide to go back outside for some fresh air. Sipping my fairy kiss chiller as I go, I head out the door and onto the increasingly busy main street. I already know what my plans for tonight, but I've got some time to kill before then. What should I do? So you get some little decisions that you can make. And you can see here on the map, based on which location you go to, there are different events that happen. So again, there's only a couple branching paths in this game. There's there's three little side stories. One always happens, one of the three you'll always get no matter what. And then you have to pick between one of the other two to see through to completion. So again, we're not going to stream this entire game. We're going to pick one of the main paths and then one of these side ones. I believe this is the one that I want. Let me double check here. I have plenty of time to kill and also just plenty of restless energy. I decide to go for a walk up Mount Victoria just to give myself something to do. I take the long way up this time instead of taking a bunch of shortcuts like usual. Winds through the neighborhoods and then back out again with only the occasional car passing by on the street. Compared to some of the other cities I've been in lately, the air here is a lot cleaner. The smell of nature shines through. It can't compare to being out in the wild for real, of course, but it's nice to not be choking on exhaust fumes everywhere I go. Houses are weird, though. Many of them sit on tall legs, like giant bugs with windows for eyes. More people seem to be coming down the mountain than going up it. Most of them zip past on bikes or skateboards, while others are just jogging or walking.
This path is longer than I thought.
About halfway up or so, there's a wooden bench just off the sidewalk. It's occupied by a man with dark hair and big sunglasses. Okay, so this is one of the paths. This elderly gentleman with an interest in fishing, which is why I thought he was going to be down at the pier. So, I guess we're going with this one, though. Each of the little side stories, I will say, has some parallels to the main story, depending on which one you pick. This'll work, though. This'll work. As I'm about to pass by, he waves.
Well, hello, miss. Nice evening for a walk, eh?
Huh? Is he talking to me? He must be, because there's no one else nearby. Chatting's not usually my thing, but for the moment, I appreciate the distraction.
It sure is. I'm glad the rain's gone.
Oh, for now, yeah. It's never gone for long, though, is it?
That's so. I'm new here. I didn't even think it would rain since it was so sunny the day before.
Ho ho ho! You've gotta watch out for that around here. Mother Nature's real fickle these days. 1 minute you're on the pier, enjoying the sunshine. Next minute, whoosh!
Makes a whoosh sound with his breath and a wavy motion with his hands.
Storm clouds, as far as the eye can see. That's just Welly for you, though. You live with the sunshine and the clouds. Where are you from, then? Guessing you're not a Kiwi?
Nah, I'm a fox, not a bird.
The man laughs a deep belly laugh. Like usual, I'm not sure what I said that was funny.
Not like that. Although those little guys are cute. A Kiwi is a word for us New Zealanders in general.
So it's a bird, a fruit, and people.
English really is terrible.
All three are delightful. Anyway, welcome to Wellington. I hope you're enjoying your time here in our little city.
So far I am. I made my den here on the mountain. I've gotten coffee a few times, and I went to the library.
I conveniently leave out my plans for the next time I'm in the library.
Well, I can't say that's the usual tourist experience, but I'm happy to hear that it's working out for you. Staying long?
Probably. I decided to come live here, but I'm still getting to know the place. So, maybe I'll change my mind.
A true free spirit, eh? I felt the same way when I first got here, long time ago. Didn't think I'd settle down for life, but here I am now. Lived more years here than everywhere else in my life.
It can't be that long. You don't look very old for a human.
No? Well, that's my ego boost for the day. You don't look very old for a fox either, but I imagine you've got a good head start on me.
That's true. I don't really keep track or think about it, though.
He laughs again.
Can't say I blame you there. I think 100 years, give or take a little on either side, is enough for me. And I'm only halfway there, so I've got plenty more to look forward to.
He stands up, but has to do it slowly. Me too, bro.
And sometimes I'm reminded of how many I've got under my belt already.
Same, TBH.
Thank you for the chat, miss. I better get back to the water now and make sure young Min hasn't fallen into the ocean or anything. It's been a real pleasure talking with you, though. I hope you'll give our fair town a shot.
Thanks. It was nice talking to you, too.
And I mean that for once. He waves goodbye as he heads down some stone steps, and I keep heading upwards. I've never really thought about my age compared to humans. Humans don't matter to my lifestyle. I wasn't lying when I said I don't know how old I am. It's never been important. Places, relationships, memories, they just tie people down. I want to be everywhere. When I reach the top of the mountain, I take a deep breath of the crisp air. Wind blows my hair in every direction, and I can't keep it out of my face. The wind is wild and goes where it wants. It doesn't answer to anyone. It's how I've lived my life, too. A free spirit. That's what the man called me, and I like the sound of it. I can see the smudges of a few people down by the beach and on the pier. Is one of them the man I just met? There's no way to know. From up here, they're just tiny little blips, impossible to tell apart from each other. Once I've had my fill of the view, it's time to get on my way again. Turn my back on the people and start making my way down once more. Oh, it does give you time to see both. Okay, that's good. I was going to have to try to explain that. Oh, so that one's Cuba Street. I was going to say, I knew it's one of those two there in the middle. Didn't realize that before. So, yes, we get to see both. It's not far from where I am to the beach, so I decide to head down there. Passing through the city streets, I recognize some of this area from my first day here, when I was running from that skyport guard.
Whew. Glad that guard chased me in this direction, or I'd have never found the Bell House.
And really, that's been the highlight of Wellington so far. When I get down to the beach, I take a moment to enjoy the salty air from the sea. From this level, it's impossible to tell where the ocean ends and then where the open sky begins. I can see the skyport from where I am, with a few older ships anchored in the harbor close by. While admiring the view, a worried-looking lady comes up and waves for my attention.
Hi, I'm looking for my son. He's about this tall and wearing a red sweater. His name's Tommy. Have you seen him?
Nope. I haven't seen anyone like that. I just got here.
Okay, thanks.
She walks away in a hurry, looking right and left as she goes to ask someone else.
Humans sure do have it rough.
Since they can't smell or even hear most things, it's a wonder they don't get lost more often. I amble along the waterfront, watching all the people as I go. Like Cuba Street, there's a lot going on. Under a nearby bridge, a group of 3 mermaids are racing each other. Close to the bridge are a bunch of people fishing, with a stressed-looking guy running back and forth between them. Next to a boarded-up market stall and some big crates, I noticed something weird. Pardon. There's a fabled with a big flower on their head. It spins like a propeller. They're using it to drift in a small circle above something near the crates. I have to check it out, of course. Nobody else pays any attention. Wander over and take a look. The fabled stops spinning as I approach. It gives me a helpless look, but doesn't say anything. On the other side of the crates, out of sight from the path, there's a little boy sitting on the ground, with his back to one of the wooden boxes.
Are you Tommy?
The kid jumps, totally surprised. Oops. He scrambles up and looks at me with wide eyes.
How'd you know? Your mom's looking for you. She seemed pretty worried.
His expression goes from surprise to sullen real quick.
I don't care. I don't want to go with her. Why not? Why are you over here instead? 'Cause I'm hiding. Oh. Okay.
It's a pretty crummy hiding spot. I mean, it's totally open on 3 sides. I didn't say that, though. Instead, I look up the fabled floating overhead. It looks almost as glum as Tommy.
Who's that? That's Derby! You mean you can see him? I can. Is that weird? Mom and Dad can't see him. They think I'm just making him up. He doesn't talk, but he's real.
Derby waves from high up.
He kinda gave away your hiding spot. I saw him from the road. Mom can't see him, and that's all that matters. Why are you hiding from her? 'Cause...
Tommy sits back down and scratches at the dirt with a rock. Guess he doesn't want to talk about it. I'm always glad to end a conversation.
Well, good luck.
I start to walk away. Doesn't seem like he's in any danger, and I don't want to get blamed for him hiding in the first place.
Hey, wait a minute.
I turn around. He's already standing up again.
Are you gonna go tell her where I am?
Before I can answer, his eyes get huge again.
Tommy, there you are.
I have to turn around again. This time it's the woman from before. She's already flying past me over to Tommy.
Okay? What were you doing? Don't you ever run off like that again. Oh, I'm just glad you're safe, though.
Her voice goes up and down between relieved and angry. She has Tommy in a tight hug, but he's just staring forward grumpily. GotY is flying in distress circles again. Finally, the lady turns to me.
You found him, right? Thank you so much. I was so worried.
No problem.
I didn't really do anything. I did find him, but so did she. Guess she's not thinking about it much.
Come on, Tommy, let's go home. We'll talk about this there.
No, I'm not going. That's not home.
My eyes flinch as he yells. Or ears. Why would your eyes flinch when well, okay. He stamps his foot on the ground to make his point.
Tommy, sweetie.
Home is where it's you, me, and Dad! Not that apartment!
That's still your home, too. But this, it's like your second home now.
No, it isn't! Not without you, it's not! Do you and Dad really have to get...
Tommy, who is already sniffling, can't keep from breaking down and crying as he throws his arms around his mom and hugs her back.
I don't want you to go!
I get the impression I should probably leave. Normally I'm happy to be nosy and listen in on things, but right now it seems kind of awkward. Neither of the humans notice me leave, but GotY the Fabled sadly waves goodbye as I head off. I wonder what makes him stick around. Never seen a Fabled like him before. Not being able to be seen by certain people sure sounds useful, though. I don't have to go far before the sounds of Tommy and his mom talking are drowned out by the noise of the waterfront, and easily fit into the crowd of people milling about. Being able to live a life that no one notices is close enough to being invisible. Pretty lucky that I don't have to have those kinds of tearful conversations or panic about someone missing. No, being part of the crowd is just perfect for me. I stand at the concrete and admire the ocean until I've had my fill, and then I start wandering again. Alright, so we will quick save here, just in case this next scene's a little long, take a little break for water. Alright, I think for this stream of the game, the side story we're going to be focusing on is the one with the elderly gentleman. Well, not super elderly, but, you know. He has trouble getting up, so. Works for me. When the moon is high in the sky, I decided it's time. It's the perfect kind of night for me. There's not much wind, meaning I'll be able to hear or smell anyone approaching. It's a little cloudy, too, which gives me some cover from the moonlight. Make my way back to the library, stopping as soon as I'm within sight of it. I find a shadowy place to hide and watch the front for a few minutes. Like I hoped, nobody goes in or out. All the windows are dark, too. I slowly creep up towards the entrance, ready to transform and flee if I have to. Nothing happens, no one tries to stop me. Peek into one of the windows. It's dark inside, and I can't see anyone at all. Perfect. I move around to the back side of the building and check those windows too. Same thing, it's dark and empty.
This is gonna be too easy.
Back at the front door, I pick the lock and slip inside. I sneak from room to room, visiting the items I memorized yesterday. They're not expensive or fancy enough to think of them as treasures. I end up leaving a lot of them alone, since I don't want to carry too much with me. The rest go into my coat pockets. Finally, I end up back at the painting in the corner, the piece that started this whole plan. I have to set a couple things down on the floor because the painting needs both hands for me to lift it. It's heavier than it looks, though it's not very big. That's probably a good sign for how much it'll be worth. I have to jiggle it a couple times to get it off the hook, but I manage. Tucking the painting under one arm, I pick up the other goods from the floor. This should be enough for one night. Best to get in and out quick. I start to head for the front door where I came in. Before I get there, light floods the room. My heart starts to race as I immediately prepare to run. Quick glance over my shoulder shows the woman from last night standing at the top of the stairs. Her eyes are glowing blue with anger. She steps forward, not seeming to touch the stairs.
Leave that painting alone!
I've got to get out of here, now. Throwing caution to the wind, I clutch my spoils tight and charge for the door, trying to make myself as small a target as possible. Painting is too big for me to transform and still hold on to it, so I've got to do this on two legs.
Stop! Please!
I don't stop. Just like my arrival here with the guards at the skyport, the thrill of being chased has already taken over. It's exciting and scary at the same time, but either way it spurs me to move faster. Using my shoulder, I crash out the front door and into the night. I run as quickly as I can, keeping an eye out for patches of slick mud or puddles of water. The path I take goes far past Mount Victoria to my aunt and my den, ending up in a small residential area. Stash the painting under a parked car and then take my fox form and crawl into her house, upsetting a mean gray cat who is already hiding there. It makes a low growling sound and I glare at it, desperately willing it to be silent before it gives way in my position. Growl back as best I can, and it seems to scare it into shutting up. I'm not sure if I was being followed or not, but I don't want to take many chances. After 10 minutes or so, I climb out, pick up my loot, and sneak back towards my den. Now that the excitement is worn off, I can't keep a smile off my face. There's nothing more satisfying than pulling off a heist, even one as easy as this. Other thieves I've heard about must have had it rough. Having to stake out a place for a long time, trying really hard to not get caught, and making sure to not be seen. Never done much planning, I just do whatever feels right. My ability to transform makes it pretty hard to catch me, although I've had to leave behind the stuff I was taking once or twice. And honestly, it'd get boring if I never got caught and had to run. My good mood lasts me all the way home, and then disappears completely when I see who's waiting for me. The woman in white. She stands just outside my den, looking like she doesn't care at all about the cold or the mud. In fact, her perfect clothes don't seem to get dirty at all. With her back turned to me, she's staring up the moon. She faces me as I approach. She has the same calm presence as when I first saw her, but I can see a mournful look in her eyes, which have gone back to brown instead of furious blue. My heart quickens almost suffocatingly as she watches me intently. I know how quickly calm can turn into anger. I should run, but I can't look away.
How did you find me here? Before I even got back?
A friend of mine told me you might be found here.
Her voice is soft and warm, unlike the way she shouted back at the library.
A friend.
But who? I wasn't followed, I'm sure that much. The shock of being found wearing off, the realization I'll need to find a new place to stay sets in. After all that work, too.
I apologize for showing up uninvited. I'm here to ask that you please return that painting to me. You may keep the frame, if you'd like. But the painting itself is very dear to me.
I look down at the portrait. I've been carrying it for a while now, but I haven't given the picture itself much thought. It's a beautiful painting and clearly very old. The girl shown it is wearing a long, flowing dress, looking down with a small smile.
And also...
She breathes out slowly and my eyes narrow. It's the sound people make when they're acting calm but they're angry.
Should you want it, I have an extra room available in my library, with a soft bed and a warm meal. You may stay as long as you wish.
Huh?
After I just tried to rob her, she's offering me a place to stay? Okay, now I know this must be a trap. There's no way. Although, it's the same thing she asked me last night before I broke in. I'm sure she doesn't remember that.
Why?
Because I have more beds than I could possibly fill and more food than I could eat. If there is someone who wants or needs them, is it not appropriate to share these with them?
Is it?
I'm not sure what answers she wants to hear. She looks at me again, the same expression as it was at the library. Well, her offer does sound kind of tempting.
I guess it's not like my place is as nice as yours.
Not anymore, at least. Not after it rained and made half of it mud. I looked down at the painting again. If I sold it, it was just going to be so I could buy the same thing she's offering me. I still don't trust her. I've watched people enough to know better than that. There must be something she wants. But I don't think she wants to hurt me. She knows I don't have anything worth stealing. If I did try to pull something, I could just run away. It's only one night. Come back and try again, or find someplace else to take from. I look down to the burrow past where she's standing. Looks less a den and more a pile of mud. Thought of sleeping there again practically makes the decision for me.
Fine, I'll take it.
She breathes out slowly again and smiles. Maybe that sound doesn't mean she's angry.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear it. I should introduce myself properly. My name is Juliet. May I ask what yours is?
Miho.
I've had to introduce myself twice in a day now. That has to be a new record.
Well, Miho, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Let's return to the library. I can carry the painting if you'd like, or you may hold on to it until we get there.
I shrug.
Here, feel free.
She receives it very gently, and I quickly fall in beside her as we begin to walk back. To my relief, she doesn't try to make any conversation. Instead, she silently cradles the painting as we go. As we get back to the library, the lights are off and the door is still unlocked. After setting the painting down on the desk, Juliet gestures towards the stairs.
It's on the second floor.
I follow her lead again until she stops at one of the closed doors. She unlocks it and lets me in. The room is simple and cozy, with a couple drawers, a table, and a bed. Over the bed there's a boxy window with a wide sill, big enough to sit on. On the table there's a cheese sandwich and a few apple slices, plus some sort of cake. There's also a pitcher of water.
I hope the food is to your liking. 2 rooms down the hall from here, you'll find a refrigerator, and you may help yourself to anything in there. My study is just past that. If you need anything, don't hesitate to come find me. Is there anything more I can bring for you?
I shake my head, still in disbelief. What am I even supposed to say in a situation like this? I just stole from her, and now I have both a bed and food in return? As if to answer my confusion, she gives a calm smile. Doesn't help.
Then I'll leave you to it. We can speak again in the morning. Good night, Miho.
The door shuts behind her, and I expect to hear Juliet lock it. When I try the knob after giving her a few moments, the door opens quietly into the dark hall. Juliet's nowhere to be seen. I pull the door back shut behind me and inspect the room, looking for any hidden threats. Also check the food, sniffing it to make sure there's no poison or anything. If there is, I can't smell it, so I dig in instead.
Whoa. This is really good.
There's 3 different kinds of cheese in the sandwich, which is 2 more kinds than I knew existed. The bread is soft and buttery, and when I take a bite of the apple, juice rolls down my chin. The water that I wash it down with tastes better than the water from the stream by my den. When I'm done eating, I climb into bed, still feeling overwhelmed. More specifically, not knowing how to feel. Part of me feels I've made some gigantic mistake and I'll wake up in danger if I ever wake up at all. Trusting my instincts has kept me alive on multiple occasions and for hundreds of years. Enough that I've lost count of how many exactly. But something tells me I don't have anything to fear from the woman who I can only assume is my host and the owner of this place. So with that in mind, I pull the blankets up to my chin and adjust the luxurious pillows beneath my head. Who knows? Maybe the morning will bring more trouble with it. But right now, just sleeping sounds alright. wake up to the sound of birds chirping loudly outside. Blinking wearily, I prop myself up and look towards the sunlight beaming through the window. Sheets under my hand feel soft and dry. My hand goes to my neck, taking in the smooth familiarity of my necklace.
It's still here.
Someone was going to rob me. That's the only thing I have that would seem valuable. Sit up and look around. Doesn't look like anyone came in while I was asleep. Maybe I really am safe here. Wonder if Juliet's friend was the scent I noticed outside my den on the first morning. I don't know how she could have found me, or how they did it without waking me up. If it happened before, it could happen again, as much as I hate to admit it. So I check around the room very thoroughly, but still don't notice anything different from when I went to bed.
Maybe it's not a trick.
All my past experiences have told me there has to be a catch. Nothing is free, nothing. No matter how hard I try, I can't figure out what it would be. Could Juliet really have been telling the truth? It just seems so unlikely. It'd be nice if it was true. But if it wasn't, if I let myself believe, only to be wrong in the end, it would hurt even more, wouldn't it? Nope. Better to not even take the risk. After all, I lived a lot of years this way, and it's not like I hate it. Making up my mind helps me feel better right away, too. It just makes more sense. Even if I tried to stay, I don't think I'd ever stop worrying. This way I'll know for sure that I'm in charge of my own destiny. Now that I know this room is unoccupied, might be able to sneak back in sometime when I need a place to stay. Wouldn't be too hard to climb one of the trees, then get to the window from there. Take one last look around. For just a night. It was a nice what if. Then I head downstairs and out the door without speaking a word to anyone. It's another nice day, same as it was when I arrived in Wellington. Warm sun and blue skies, just a hint of clouds. For a while I meander around town, eating the last of my pastries from the convenience store hall for breakfast. Today feels like another restart. I have no den, no supplies, no nothing. Less exciting now than it was when I first arrived. I don't have a destination in mind, but eventually end up at the waterfront. It's an airship over the bay, descending closer towards the skyport. A couple kids down on the beach wave up to it, seeming excited. People arriving on that ship all have somewhere that they're planning to go when they get off, huh? Got people waiting to see them. What have I got? Some trash and an old scroll? So far, Wellington's given me nothing but questions. Never bothered me before in any of the other cities I've been to, so why now? Guess that's another question for the pile. Push myself off the railing and head back into town. Go through the motions of scouting for somewhere to rebuild my den, but my heart really isn't in it. After wandering for a while, I end up at the Bell House yet again. It's just the place I go when I have nowhere else to go. There are more customers than usual, so there are two people working behind the counter. It only takes a brief glance to notice one of them is Aspen. Aspen. Wonder if she'll think I'd like a fairy kiss chiller again, or maybe I'll make a different sort of first impression today. The line moves pretty quickly. It helps that Aspen doesn't spill anything this time. When it's my turn to order, I step up to the counter with a fake smile.
Oh, hello! What can I make for you today?
I'll have a fairy kiss chiller, please.
Certainly. Good choice.
I reach for my wallet to pay, but she stops me.
Oh, don't worry about that. It's on the house today.
Great! What does that mean?
It means that you don't have to pay for it. As an apology for yesterday.
Yesterday? Why does that sound so strange? I nearly miss her talking, my mind having tripped over the word. She reaches for a cup, the pen already in her hand.
And that's for Miho, right?
For Miho?
My name? She remembers my name? My heart begins to race wildly, my body reacting just as strongly as my mind. Aspen frowns, clearly noticing that something's off. My head's in too much of a daze to deal with it, though.
It is Miho, right?
She checks the notebook on the counter. brow furrowing deeply as her finger slowly moves down the page and taps on one of the lines. What do I say? How do I explain? For the first time in my life, for the first time in hundreds of years, somebody's remembered my name. It's not supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to be forgotten. Every time, without fail, it's my armor, it's my life. Take a step backwards, I have to run, have to get out of here, I have to get away. But where? I've just been running. And I don't have anywhere else to run to. But I don't have any choice. Without a plan or destinations, I turn on my heel and bolt outside, not daring to look back. Everything is wrong, I have to go.
Miho!
She calls my name as I disappear onto the streets. It's not the first time I've heard that as I fled. But never like this. Never with such a confused and worried tone. Feeling sick to my stomach, I push myself to run even faster. Maybe I should just leave this whole city, go the next airship out of here and act like nothing ever happened. Go somewhere else, back to China or America or anywhere, and start over again. Within days, it'd be like I never came to Wellington. My life would go back to normal, and eventually I'm sure Aspen and Juliet would forget me, just like they're supposed to. Nothing would be different. Except that's not quite true. I wouldn't forget what happened here, even if everyone else did. No matter what, I'm sure I won't ever be able to get these past few days out of my mind. When I get to Mount Victoria, I finally stop running. Not because this place is special or because I wanted to come here, but because I don't know where else to go. I make my way up to the top of the mountain, just like I did on my first day. The view, which I admired so much last time, doesn't do much for me now. Instead, the city looks cluttered and confused. My chest hurts from running for so long. I'm much more used to quick bursts of sprinting to get away from something or someone. I guess that's still what I'm trying to do right now. I'm not sure what it is that I'm running from. Whenever something goes wrong, my first instinct is to flee. Aspen remembering me definitely counts as something wrong, but when I stop to think about why, some of the reasons are obvious. Mostly, what if it's not just Aspen? What if everybody can remember me now? Or even worse, what if people who forgot about me a long time ago start to remember me? Both could get me in a lot of trouble. My days as a thief would probably be over. There are some places I could never show my face again. Smart thing to do is to leave. I can even see a couple of airships at the skyport right now. Everything with me, I could just go. There's nothing keeping me here. I make my way to the top of the mountain, just like that first day. And yet, I don't move. I don't even know what it is I'd be running away from. From Aspen? From Wellington? When I think about it, I have to admit that running wouldn't get me anywhere. This worry, these questions would follow me wherever I go, no matter how far, no matter how long. So then, what do I do? The only answer I can think of is the scariest one, the one that goes against everything I've ever learned. Closing my eyes, I picture the library and Juliet's offer. I picture Aspen, who I barely know, but already has changed my life. Maybe I should stay and try to find out more. And maybe, just maybe, being remembered might not be all bad. Clench my fists so tightly my knuckles turn white. The urge to turn tail and head for the skyport is so strong it's almost like a magnet's pulling me there. How do they even work? I resist it though. Slowly I walk down the mountain, making my way to the library. I'm not sure what to say when I get there. Explain everything to Juliet and hope she'll let me stay in that room again? I don't even need the room. I could just rebuild my den and hide out there. Maybe in a new spot, one that Juliet doesn't know about. Not having to worry about the weather or other animals would be nice, though. There's no telling if Juliet will remember me, too. If not, it might be easier to pretend this is my first time visiting and just ask if there's anywhere I could stay. Even though I'm not moving very fast, I still don't feel ready for this conversation by the time I reach the library's entrance. It's only been an hour or so since I left the Bell House, so it's not late enough for the library to be closed. The usual stream of people flows in and out the doors.
Okay, I can do this.
I stand off to the side of the entrance, prepping myself as people pass to and fro. My heart is racing the same way it does during a tense break-in, maybe even harder. My tail twitches back and forth. Usually I don't notice, but right now I'm super aware of everything about myself. Fighting off my instincts, I open the door and let myself inside. I'd been expecting to have to look for Juliet, but instead she's right by the entrance. What surprises me most, however, is the woman leaning against the large desk beside her, Aspen, who's now engaged in conversation with a deep look of concern on her face.
She wasn't there when I checked the bedroom. I wish she would have spoken to me first, at least.
Barely catch the end of Juliet's sentence. She notices me only moments after I spot her, and for a second her mouth forms a perfect O of surprise.
Juliet? What are you...
Aspen turns around to follow Juliet's gaze, her eyes opening wide at the sight of me.
Miho!
My brain goes blank, rehearsed lines flying out of my head.
Hey there.
I slink over to where they're standing, hands in my pockets, unsure what I should say first.
It's nice to see you again, Miho. I was hoping that you'd return.
Me too. That was pretty sudden. I worked extra hard on that drink for you, you know.
I freeze up looking for the words. Aspen's expression softens in concern.
Miho?
Alright, the drink. I'm sorry.
Well, I ended up drinking it myself, so I suppose I can't complain too much.
She laughs, and I can't stop myself from blurting out my next words.
You seem different.
I'm sorry?
Like, less polite?
Well, I'm not at work anymore, am I?
What am I even saying? What was I planning on saying again?
Will you be staying for a while, Miho? If so, we can continue this conversation in the dining room. It's a bit more private there.
Juliet takes charge of the conversation effortlessly. I accidentally sigh in relief.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. I'm not gonna run away again.
I'm glad to hear that. Right this way, then.
Juliet leads the way down the hall and into one of the locked rooms. We enter a cozy little room with a table and a few chairs, as well as a fridge. 3 of us sit down, although I move my chair so I'm not close to the others.
Can I get you anything to eat or drink, Miho?
I shake my head. I'm hungry, but I'm way too nervous to eat. Juliet smiles in response to my answer, which came just a little too quickly to sound natural. By the way both she and Aspen are looking at me, I can tell they're expecting me to say something first. None of the words that I planned are coming back to me. What do people even say in a situation like this? Temptation to run away is overwhelming, the door just a few feet behind me. My knuckles whiten as I tightly clench my fists in my lap, pushing myself to resist the urge. I told myself I'm going to take this chance, even if it's the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm going to be honest with them.
Well...
I struggle to think of what to say. Juliet waits patiently, her eyes gazing coolly in my direction more than directly at mine. Aspen soon grows restless, however, her expression clouded with concern.
Sorry. I don't know how to just say things. I've only ever copied other people's, so I...
Aspen's expression clears up in some sort of understanding.
It's okay, Miho. Take your time.
So I don't really know how to talk like this.
You're doing just fine.
If you say so. It's not just talking either. I don't know much about anything. Well, anything human. All I really know about is being a fox. And all we foxes care about is how to survive. It might be hard to believe, but I'm not a normal fox either. There's something kinda special about me. Kinda different.
Finger the beads around my neck. Their constant warmth and presence is reassuring. I avoid looking at either Aspen's or Juliet's face. What else?
Usually, I have to steal to get by. I don't just have to, I like to. I'm good at it too. That's how I ended up meeting Juliet. And the reason I'm so good at it is because I don't know why it happens, but ever since I got my human form, everyone forgets me. Even the people who catch me stealing from them. After a day or two, I can walk right past their face and they wouldn't even recognize me. No one has ever recognized me. Until Aspen remembered who I was at the Bell House. It was such a shock that I ran away. That's what I always do. I was thinking about leaving Wellington forever, even though I just arrived a couple days ago. I'm still kind of tempted. But instead, I came back here. And that's it.
Just hearing the words coming out of my mouth makes me want to die of embarrassment. It makes me uncomfortable when other people think about me. And yet, putting everything out there feels surprisingly good. Feels like a weight has come off my shoulders. There's no going back now, and that's a relief in its own way.
So you're saying that you've never ever had a family? Or a friend?
Nope, never. And not since I stopped being a regular fox, at least.
Oh. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Why?
Well, because that's... not to be rude, but that sounds rather lonely to me.
Lonely, huh? I've never thought about it before.
I see.
Aspen sits back, still looking concerned. The way she keeps fidgeting, I get the impression she wants to say more, but is holding back. Juliet swoops in to salvage the situation.
You have been very brave to stay here, Miho. I'm personally glad that you decided to come back to the library. I had your room prepared in hopes that you would. You're welcome to use it for as long as you'd like. I think that we could become great friends.
Friends.
I roll the word around in my mind as if it were strange food I'm gingerly trying. Is that a word that fits me? Is that something I could have? It's never seemed like a possibility before. None of what Juliet has offered me has. Right now it feels like I'm standing at the end of one path, the beginning of another. I could turn around and go back the way I came, back to the den and a life spent alone. I know that world. I've lived it for so many years. But I can't go back now, not now. Not when there can be something more, something new. Everything could be different if I just let it. When I look at Aspen and Juliet, I can tell what they're hoping I'll say.
I think I'd like that.
Big smiles take over both their faces. Slowly, I let myself smile too.
Well then, Miho. Welcome home.
The title drop, we did it! So we will be stopping at the chapter mark here. So that was the introduction to the game. So we will be starting next time with Chapter 2, A Life Worth Living. So we'll do a full recap there. But again, good introduction to the world and the characters. Again, like I stated, some of the twists you might see coming, especially if you're, familiar with stories, if you've, read a lot, seen lots of movies or TV shows, you're just familiar with kind of basic story structure. There's nothing too unusual here. It's how it all works, how it all ties together, and how these characters react to the story that they're in, the world they're in, and how they grow through it. So that is what is fascinating about this game, to me at least. And that is what we will be exploring next time in this. So, whether you were here live or you happen to watch this VOD later on down the road, I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, have a good one.